This super-militarized occupation of a sacred area is illegal under international law, and its flagrant crimes are only protected because of the backing of the US empire. Despite carrying out mostly non-violent resistance against their occupiers, refugees in Aida camp are constantly brutalized by Israeli forces.
And indeed by countries such as ours via our donations to the United Nations.
The New York City is the United Nations headquarters, which was built in 1945 and financed largely by John D. Rockefeller.
Lucis Trust is an influential institution that enjoys, quote, consultative status, which permits it to have a close working relationship with the United Nations, including a seat on the weekly sessions. It also operates the one religious chapel at the UN, called the Meditation Room.
Scenarios for the future of technology and international development.
Page 18, if you can look at this up on the internet, but I'll read it off to you. It's called Lockstep. Lockstep. So they put out this scenario. Lockstep. A world of tighter, top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership, with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. Okay, I'll read a little bit of it. In 2012, the pandemic that the world had been anticipating for years, nobody was anticipating a pandemic, finally hit. Even the most pandemic-prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed when the virus streaked around the world, infecting nearly 20% of the global population and killing 8 million in just 7 months, the majority of them healthy young adults. The pandemic also had a deadly effect on economies. You can see the agenda, just naked, raw, naked control agenda written down, and it's anybody's guess how this becomes effectuated in real life. So whether this is written specifically as marching orders or whether people take it upon themselves in the intelligence networks to say, okay, well, this has been produced, so this is the plan here. But these narratives have to be written in advance because the intelligence agencies don't know how to do these narratives. They need help. So these think tanks, they come up with these like Rand Corporation, Rockefeller Foundation. These are think tanks of death. They're not the think tanks. They're not there to find great ways to help people. Right? Okay, the pandemic also had a deadly effect on economics. International mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt. Right? Which is what they want. They want a completely isolated world, right? Debilitating industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. Well, of course they want tourism stopped because they're not in the tourism business, and they want you at home in your house in front of the TV. Then they got you because once you watch the TV, they own your soul.
Now you can be part of the action. Nigmatech brings the joy of 3D entertainment into your living room. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you my vision. The box in every home in America and one day the world.
I mean commercial television, let's say. National. No. Even locally, normally bustling shops and offices sat empty for months. Okay, so I love how they talk about it in the past tense in 2010. The pandemic blanketed the planet, though disproportionate numbers in Africa died. Southeast Asia and Central America, where the virus spread like wildfire.
It sounds like the opening monologue of a disaster movie, right?
Exactly. Now listen to, here's the good stuff now. But even in developed countries, containment was a challenge. The United States' initial policy of strongly discouraging, in quotation marks, strongly discouraging citizens from flying proved deadly in its leniency. So they should have been tougher, right? Accelerating the spread of the virus, not just within the United States, but across borders. However, a few countries did fare better. China in particular. The Chinese government's quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as its instant and near hermetic sealing off of all borders, saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of virus far earlier than in other countries. So the message is here is we have to look towards the Chinese, the oppressive totalitarian Chinese regime as an example of what we need to be doing here. During the pandemic, national leaders around the world flexed their muscles, flexed their authority, and imposed airtight rules and restrictions. You can see the agenda.
Go.
Okay. From the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks at the entries to communal spaces like
that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? We'll be going through this and stuff to get on buses and the subway, things like that.
And even supermarkets, they want body checks at supermarkets. Okay, so basically, what they're saying is they're building a system where every move you make, you got to go through them.
You can't get food. What happens if you go to the farmer's market?
Even after the pandemic faded, this more authoritarian control and oversight of citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified. From pandemics and national terrorism to environmental crisis and rising poverty, leaders around the world took a firmer grip on power. Well, what the hell would rising poverty have anything to do with face masks? So they're very sloppy stuff here. At first, the notion of a more controlled world gained wide acceptance and approval. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability. They want to get more control, more and it's going to be curfews and quarantine. So what I'm saying is that unless the American people start to get some new way to revolt, a new way to organize, new way to protest, unless we can break through the apathy, because that's what we have here, then it's going to be a slave state here. The ruling class doesn't seem to have too much resistance to getting everything on their Christmas shopping list. And they've been wanting quarantines and curfews for a long time. Now they got it.
Inside UN headquarters is an ominous meditation room. The custodian of the meditation room is Lucis Trust Company. At one time, the Lucis Trust was located at 666 United Nations Plaza and was formally named Lucifer Publishing Company. The Rockefeller-funded UN meditation room is 33 feet long and 18 feet wide. 18 feet is 6 plus 6 plus 6. The small, dimly lit, windowless room was built in the shape of a pyramid that is laying on its side. At the center of the room is a 4-foot-high, black, casket-shaped stone slab which weighs 6.5 tons and is extremely magnetic and rests on a concrete pillar. The pillar descends beneath the floor into the bedrock and taps into the Earth's hyperdimensional energies to induce a state of altered consciousness.
And most people, when they have a choice between hating others and hating themselves, they hate others.
We are a country that is headed towards socialism, totalitarianism, beyond your wildest imagination. I have to tell you, I'm doing a story tonight that I wanted to debunk these FEMA camps. I'm tired of hearing. You know about them? Sure. I'm tired of hearing. I wanted to debunk them. Well, we've now for several days done research on them. I can't debunk them.
They call it a residential center, but it looks a hell of a lot more like a prison to me. Double fences, floodlights, barbed wire to keep people from getting out, and at the main entrance, railroad tracks, just like Nazi Germany.
And our inspectors will also be ensuring that those who absolutely must come to work are strictly following the public health measures. For our employers and employees, take note, this is your last warning.
If someone sees their neighbors breaking these new regulations,
social distancing,
and having a party in their yard, that sort of thing,
6 feet.
Should people call police on their neighbors?
If it means saving lives, then I think we have to think about what your social responsibilities are as an individual to make sure that you don't empower other people and invite a whole bunch of individuals to your home.
Let me talk directly to you guys, you Ontario, Canada legislators. You guys are evil Nazi motherfuckers.
All of these apparent security measures are particularly unusual here because this is a very low crime area and this facility is nothing but an old train repair station with nothing in it worth stealing. In this portion of the parking lot is a brick building, suitable for processing, next to a gate that leads right out to the railroad tracks. And all of this is contained inside a fully fenced area, now 3 layers deep in fencing at this point, and its doors and windows have all been blocked. This facility was supposed to have closed in June of 1993, yet instead several $1 million in federal funds have been spent on supposed renovations over the past 2 years. Outside there are new gas pipes. Even as we were filming, a black helicopter flew over us, observing what we were doing, which has happened many times when we have been at the facility. The gas lines and gas pipes at the facility run the length of the building. Inside the facility, we found large fenced-in areas next to the railroad tracks marked green zone and blue zone, suitable for holding a lot of people. Many of the old warehouse buildings have had new concrete floors put into them. Unused sections of railroad track have been dug up and replaced, and from the supplies in the stockyards, it is obvious they will be doing even more construction and fencing. Senator Lugar of Indiana recently obtained more federal funding to renovate this facility, which is supposedly only for the repair of broken trains and where most of the buildings on the property haven't been used for years. It certainly appears they are expecting more than just broken trains. This tower, overlooking the entire facility at one end of the facility along the railroad tracks, also has a radio antenna on it with a ladder up inside of it. It would make an excellent watchtower.